Dada.
Oh, what was that, Morty Jr.? Were you gonna say Dada? Say Dada.
Death!
Dada.
Domination!
Dada?
Destruction, domination.
Nice.
Raising Gazorpazorp is the first episode to take place with Rick and Morty in an alternate reality after accidentally destroying their own timeline. It also happens to be the first episode Rick goes adventuring with more of the family, as this time it's Summer who tags along. As Buddy had to go because his planet needed him. I'm Dave Klein, and I'll be breaking down episode 7 of season 1 of Rick and Morty, Raising Gazorpazorp. But before we dive into the Gazorpazorpians and their extra arms, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe for more Rick and Morty breakdowns. There's probably a you in a parallel universe who already has, so why not? The episode opens in an intergalactic pawn shop where Morty is browsing and finds the one souvenir he finally wants.
Hey, Rick, you think maybe I could get something from this place? Like a souvenir? Like just to have? Like something cool, you know?
Not here, Morty. We'll stop somewhere else because, you know, there's always another pawn shop.
Oh, okay. I just, I thought that robot over there looked pretty cool, you know?
Oh, it looks cool, huh? Okay, 60 for the resonator, and my grandson wants the sex robot.
The sex robot itself looking like a costume you'd find in a Halloween shop for slutty RoboCop. The visor is similar, as is the coloring and neck. After he's very obviously having annoyingly loud sex with the robot he names Gwendolyn, Jerry wants to intervene when Beth stops him thinking Ralph Fiennes in Red Dragon. This refers to the Ralph Fiennes character in the film Red Dragon, which is a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, who becomes a serial killer after horrible abuse from his grandmother and eventually own parents. All of this leads to Morty accidentally impregnating the robot sex doll, which ends up birthing him a half-human, half-Gazorpazorp baby he names Morty Jr., and leading right to the title, Raising Gazorpazorp. Raising Gazorpazorp is a play on the show Raising Hope and utilizes similar themes. The show centers on Jimmy Chance, who has an accidental baby after a one-night stand with a serial killer and is forced to raise the child with the help of his family. Although, instead, Morty ends up pushing his parents away, who constantly judge him for it.
We love to dance!
Why do we love to dance?
Because I said so!
Nice.
As Morty Jr. immediately wants to murder and destroy everything, Morty does his best to prevent this and lies to Morty Jr., telling him he can't go outside because the air is poisonous for him, and he'll die if he does so. This is just like the plot to the film Bad Boy Bubby, in which Bubby is told by his mother the air outside is poisoned and he'll die if he leaves the apartment. Similar still to Bad Boy Bubby, Morty Jr. finally escapes and runs away, although now much older, and runs off to a warehouse. Here he mimics the famous Kevin Bacon scene from Footloose, dancing in an abandoned warehouse. After letting loose and going on a murderous rampage, Morty finally talks Morty Jr. down when Brad Anderson, creator of the comic series Marmaduke, runs into them and gives some advice.
I'm Brad Anderson, creator of the nationally syndicated comic strip Marmaduke. You should consider being a creative. I'm haunted by uncontrollable thoughts of mutilation and sexual assault on a near daily basis. But you know, I channel it all into my work.
Oh, whoa!
Huh?
In the commentary track on the DVD for this episode, Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland, and Ryan Ridley talk about how they actually felt bad for goofing on Brad Anderson, as they had nothing against him, and he wasn't even their first choice. They also mentioned that it's much harder to parody people who live in Missouri due to certain state laws, which is part of why they had to change who they referenced. And while Morty is busy raising his half-human, half-Gazorpazorp son, Rick and Summer are off on their own adventure at Planet Gazorpazorp, which references the Sean Connery movie Zardoz. The floating head we see in Rick and Morty is a direct reference to the same thing from Zardoz. While in Zardoz, the head carries guns, in Rick and Morty, the head carries sex robots. Which I find to be far preferable. Sean Connery's character ends up riding the head, just like Rick and Summer, to a higher society who's ruling over the lower society and controlling them. The higher society in Rick and Morty is ruled by female Gazorpazorps who have cast away all males. Two of these are voiced by Claudia Black and Virginia Hay, who also acted together in the sci-fi TV series Farscape. Meanwhile, the guards wield weapons that look just like the Vulcan's weapon from the original Star Trek series, the Vulcan Lyra, which Spock and Kirk used to fight each other. Masha occupies a throne on top of the phrase, Sis Semper Calumnium. This is in Latin, roughly translating to, you shall always suffer shame, or you shall always be oppressed, as calumnia, the base word of calumnium, can have multiple meanings. After Masha finds Rick and Summer punishable by death because of crimes against womankind, and because Rick farted,
I cannot believe my ears.
Summer is forced to argue for the rights of men on Earth. She uses her top as an example, which was created by Marc Jacobs. The top was actually drawn based on an actual piece from a Marc Jacobs catalog, and after the episode aired, Marc Jacobs actually tweeted out, "Fashion to the rescue on Adult Swim's Rick and Morty, Summer has great taste," showing a still from Rick and Morty. In further arguing her case, Summer states,
And if you think my top is cute, you cannot execute.
this is a direct play on a famous line from the O.J. Simpson trial.
It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Here are a few other things I noticed while rewatching this episode. While Summer and Rick are walking through the female Gazorpa-Zorpian's paradise, they walk past a number of female-centric jokes with the names of their shops. This includes a department store of just shoes and chocolate, a restaurant titled Just a Bite of Yours, and my personal favorite, what would be a strip club, complete with neon signs titled The Cuddle Palace, with the raunchy signs stating live cuddling and hugs, hugs, hugs. Also fun for the artists is that these particular jokes weren't written in, but actually created after the episode was recorded. What brings Morty Jr. to look out of the window and want to go outside is the mailman coming, and I noticed that he ends up petting a dog outside of the window. It's not a particularly big deal, but dogs are something I always look out for after a lawnmower dog, just to see how many are still left on Earth in whatever universe we're currently watching. And speaking of the universe, in the very next episode of Rick and Morty, we get a callback to the Gazorpa-Zorps as Rick and Morty watch Interdimensional Cable and find the show Gazorpa-Zorp Field, which parodies Garfield, except both John and Garfield have arms on their heads, just like the Gazorpa-Zorps. As it doesn't seem like the male Gazorpa-Zorps watch television on their planet, this is the show the female Gazorpa-Zorps choose to enjoy, and in the commentary for Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland, Dan Harmon, and Ryan Ridley decide, in the moment, that Gazorpa-Zorp Field is in the same version of the universe as this particular episode. Finally, as Morty is talking to Jerry in what appears to be his study, he has a framed picture of the Titanic up, which we'll later learn he's weirdly obsessed by in the season finale. These were all the references and points of interest I was able to find, but hit me up on Twitter or write in the comments if there was anything I missed. I know I'm not Buddy, but I hope you enjoyed, as next week I'll be breaking down Rick's D Minutes. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Peace.